Tell us again what you were talking about. Shackelford Banks.
We went over there, and our mamas and daddies, we all went to the shore. See, you anchored your bigger boat, and then you went in your little skiff to the shore. But when it started getting, the moon started coming out, they started yelling for us. We were all over the shore. He had a big family. Well, there was three of us, and he had, I think, 4. But we got on the boat, and Mother and Daddy and Walter and Neitha, his daughter, they started doing ice cream. It took so long with the boat, because they weren't fast. We ate ice cream coming home, and it was a crank, one of those old-timey cranks. But it was banana ice cream, and it was so good. But I remember when we were little, when school got out, Mother would walk after she got the children off to school and got the washing out and all that stuff. I don't know how women did so much with so little to work with. Mm-hmm. They didn't have no washing machines and all that. But I'd come home from school, even they would hang the sheets and all that stuff. Plus keeping the house. And I never knew where my bed was going to be because she changed furniture around every day. I don't know how she did it, but she did it. Anyway, Mother would do all that, and then she'd walk to her mom's, which I had told you how far it was from her house.
Which that's about mid-island, and you were on the western island, so it was about 2.5 miles, probably.
Well, see, it seemed like the island I know has washed away tremendously, because I would walk my dad's mom. She would take me every Saturday, I think, or Sunday evening, and we would walk when the bridge first got put there. We would walk from Mother's house all that way and across the bridge to Gerald Whitehorse's house for his wife to give me piano lessons.
At the Straits.
At Straits. Mm-hmm. And after you got off the bridge, that was a long, long way. Mm-hmm. But we did it every Sunday. 8 years, I learned how to play chopsticks.
You sound like me.
That Mother would be to grandmother's, and so after school we'd go down there where the post office was. That was where grandmother's house was. And we would play on the dock and things like that we couldn't do where we lived because the landing was kind of far from. Mm-hmm. But we'd go swimming and play on the net spreads. And of course we had to walk home from school every other day because the school bus would be broken down.
And the school was where it is today?
No.
It was across the street?
The school, where's the road? The cemetery's there, the school was right here.
Okay, so almost close to where the Methodist Church?
That was where the Methodist Church is. Where the parking lot is, there was the parsonage. And see, they used 2 of the classrooms there for school. I went 1 year over there.
Oh, okay.
But where the school was is, do you know where that new Lighthouse Chapel is? Mm-hmm. Well, that was a school ground. And so almost, and the teacherage is where the Methodist parking lot is.
Okay.
And then the school was next to it. But we would walk to her house, and a lot of times we walked home along the shore, and it was so dark you couldn't see anything. And I remember one evening my oldest brother had bought a little boat from somebody, and we all got in that little boat, and we poled home, not knowing where the boats were and all that kind of stuff.
Wow. Instinct.
Yeah.
Did you ever go over to Browns Island?
Never been there. Never been around it, never seen it. I've always wanted to, and my Wendy that lives in Marshallboro, we'll go down, sometimes I'll go and we'll ride down to the end where her husband's boat is. And I'll look over there, and that like was off limits to us. That belonged to the Brown, and you didn't go in that area because you'd be shot.
Okay.
I mean, that's what we were all
brought up to do. Children, yeah, sure. So, and did you ever hear about any Indian trails that were on Harkers Island?
No, but they always said that where Seaside is. When I was little, growing up, that was the prettiest place you have ever seen. There's nothing but big white sand hills. I mean, big hills. Well, it stayed that way. We would go out there weekends and play on the hills, and we would have such a good time. There's no such thing as four-wheelers and stuff like that. But it stayed that way until R.L. Moore moved from Raleigh here, and then he bought all that property up and tore it up.
Mm. What about the sand pit in there? What's the story on that?
This will go out, but I don't know that I can tell you.
Okay, all right. You don't have to do that.
Anyway, it was beautiful out there, and I didn't know when. From the shore, almost to the end of the point on the shore, was like you walk through the back road. Let's see up here, where the creek is.
That's Johns Creek there.
There, well,
Mrs. Brooks.
This way is where the big houses are now.
Mm-hmm.
I guess this would be houses. That's the water, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, Seaside would be where? Where's the sand hole?
Seaside would be right in here somewhere, wouldn't it?
So all of this would have been...
All that?
All of that would be the sand holes, would it not? Sand hills, because it was big. It was almost from the highway right on to where we call it Myrtle's Church.
Uh-huh.
But all of that was woods. My grandmother lived.
Mm-hmm.
She lived down that road over here somewhere. But there was an area there when the housing stopped, the last house that was built there. It was like a tunnel. The trees would be hanging over. But it was like you drive a car. You could have driven a bus through there. And it would go around to the shore. And I often wondered, when I was growing up, grandmother would go there huckleberrying or blueberrying, whatever, and I'd go with her sometimes. But one day I had a hold of her hand, we were walking, and I said, Grandmother, or Mamo, I called her. I said, what is this? It looks like a trail. She said, that is where the oxen and carts went. She said, I don't know that there's many people that realize that the mortar that was made for Fort Macon, the sand came from our sand hole. This path is where the oxen went to the sand hole, got the sand, and carried it back to the shore for the, whatever they call it.
Put it on the barge? Or?
Put it on the barge to take it to Fort Macon.
How about that?
I said, and that, I told the man when we were to Carteret Tech or something, and they had a big thing out there, and I hate it. But you know, a lot of times you tell things, people say that's not the way it was, you know. But they had a big layout, maps and everything of Fort Macon, and I walked up to the table because you had to pay or give a donation or whatever. And I was just talking to the young couple that was there, and I said, you know, the mortar that was made for Fort Macon came from our little island. She said, where's that? I said, Harkers Island. I said, they had to bring it on boats or barges across the... She said, well, let's not talk about that. I mean, she was so rude, she and the boy. I said, I want to pop you. So history, that's what I'm saying about this place. Now people ask me, and I didn't realize the importance of this place until... But I tell people now, I told people at Seaside this morning, I went to take Lynn to work. I told Mila, I said, yes, Peyton has been down there with her school class. But Peyton has not learned. She has not studied. She's not had anybody walking around and taking time to explain things. Mm-hmm. These children come with groups and they're in such a hurry. I don't think they get the full impact. But I think what a great place this is if it stays this way.
Right.
For those children that they'll never know.
Mm-hmm.
One of the guys that was in there, he said, well, I can't remember what he said he brought down here. But I was telling him about how many people I have been here since I've been here from other countries. I said, and the locals won't take advantage of it, and it's right near our back door. I said, they better pay attention to it. Even the older ones have not seen, don't know what some things are that's here. So you know the younger ones, right? Mm-hmm. Anyway, get back to you. I had a tendency to drift off.
No, that's okay. That's okay. I really appreciate your time today, and I'm hoping that you'll let me copy some of those pictures that you
I will
shot
bring
down.
that down here. I started with a picture that a friend of mine took of Daddy at a park when they were in Daytona, when they lived down there for a little bit. And then I started from his birth certificate. I've got copies of everything. Now, there's some people, when you do genealogy, some people don't realize that. My oldest brother died in Wilmington at Seabury's Hospital with meningitis when he was 13. When I was getting in genealogy, I needed, and my husband's father died in Wilmington, Seabury's Hospital. That they don't realize if you want to keep those, if you want anybody, your great-great-grandchildren, if they ever want to say, where is it? You've got to have copies. So I always send or go to the hospital where they were born or died and get records and bring them home. And I've got everything in that album that's about that thick. I started with Daddy's life until his death certificate. Then I started with Mother and her life. Then I started each one of the children and their lives, their children, all that. So it's a big album. But at least I've got it. The only thing is the hospital's down a little straight.
Oh, dear. Well, now, you are Mormon by faith.
Yeah.
Now, how many generations of Mormon are you? Were your mom and dad Mormon? Or?
Daddy's family had always, well, his dad, his mother never did join the church, even though she believed in our doctrine. That because all of her family were of another faith. She didn't want to hurt them, you know. My granddaddy, his house was on Shackelford Banks, and the first missionaries that came, his house was the first one they stayed to. And I wondered the most, and I wanted to talk to Daddy. There's so much. I thought Mother and Daddy were going to live forever.
Oh, no.
I wanted to say, Daddy, everybody probably had a little 2-room shack where they ate and sat and told stories and did everything, and the room where they slept. I went and say, Daddy, did they have to sleep on the floor? And a lot of the houses didn't even have floors. They had seaweed or whatever to sleep on. Then when they moved over here, he tore the porch apart one time to make seats for the people to have outdoor meetings because our church had been burned, so they would go to each other's houses. He was a real strong, when the missionaries were run off the island, I mean, they were going to be run in the water to drown. He was fishing and saw what was happening and came ashore and got them out of the water and took them into Beaufort. He was a real strong man. But then, see, but he went, there's so much I want to tell you, but.
Well, I'll tell you what, we've done a lot today. Can we make an appointment next week sometime and do it again?
I'd love to. I wish I had the sense or the ability to sit down and write all this stuff and just hand it to you and say, here it is.
Well, no, that's okay.
But I was thinking about the school building. See, the school building used to be across from where the schoolhouse is now. They had to walk through the marshes because Daddy's mother and her family grew up where Tom Sparks' house is, so they had to walk through the marshes to get to that school. And he said that he'd catch a soft crab going home that evening and put it under his hat. It's up behind the water we run down it. But I mean, it was hard. But they were enjoying life so much that it didn't matter because everybody fared alike. You didn't have more than I had. You didn't have air conditioner, but why? I mean, if I didn't have one, I was just like
everybody was equal.
Yep.
Everybody was equal.
And I think a lot of people, well, I have heard the older people say how when a person died or got really sick, people went and took care of them. And they sat up the night of the funeral. They didn't leave them at the church. They
sitting up with the dead.
Sat up with the dead.
Yeah.
Care how hot it was, they did it.
Yeah.
And they didn't have picnics to eat while the person was laying in there dead either. I mean, people were so more sensitive to other people, I think, at that time.
Yeah. Well, thank you, and we'll do this again real soon. Thank you, Miss Mattie. I appreciate it.
I'll try to remember. I'll get that book out and see if I need any catching up to do.
All right. Talk with you later.